Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have two kind of big things to go and talk about. Number one, there's a really big disappointment going on over here for a really big game coming soon for the PlayStation 5. And as well, we also have the sales numbers right now for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, which are actually apparently doing very well. So we're going to talk about these both in in-depth ideas and concepts because this is kind of a big thing because number one is focus on the kind of the change of video games and how a lot of video games are kind of like dying at the end of the day where just they don't get support. They're not really worth it. And it's kind of disappointing news, especially for big games coming out. And as well, also sales numbers are just always fun to go and talk about. So if you guys are brand new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. As well, make sure you guys check out the How link down below for all the Samsung links, pre-orders, and all of that. Super easy. Check that out. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below if you guys want to follow them, the Target, Amazon links too. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place. And let's go and dive on in. So first and foremost, I want to go talk about an upcoming big game, which is the Suicide Squad, basically Kill the Justice League. Which, if you guys don't know, it's kind of been leaked out and talked about, although granted in 4chan, but we've been seeing a lot more news on this all floating around, and people are definitely getting a little more up in arms with it. We're going to use a little reference for this one, where it apparently is going to be a GaaS game, which is a games as a service game. Now, I think a best example for this is probably like almost like a game like, say, a 2K, a Destiny. Maybe a really good example too, as well as maybe the Avengers game, where they have like a base game, and the game exists, like it's there, like it's a real game, but it's kind of like a very, very mediocre game. It's like you kind of get like maybe like a few hour campaign or a few hour multiplayer, and they typically want to keep adding more and more updates to try to maintain the player base or to go and sell most of the times a microtransaction. Now, when it comes to all these links, all the 4chan links and such, were actually end up being just not found, or basically all of them are just not available or applicable as of right this second. So it could also maybe been either been taken down by the company or potentially on the very small chance, not a real leak. But everything we've had a chance to see so far does kind of seem like this is a confirmed thing. It's one of those things where it seems like most of the information is coming out that's going to be a microtransaction filled game. Now, I'm not sure if I want to speak on your behalf, but when it comes to me playing games, I'm not a big fan of one, the big grind, and two, having to pay more money for a game I already spent money on. A good example is if I already spent $60, $70 on a game, I don't want to have to be paying for a microtransaction or pay for updates or pay for new characters. I want that either for free, included in future updates, or just included in the base game. Now, it's kind of like a similar take where it was like for Avengers, where Avengers themselves had an interesting game, an interesting concept. I liked it. I thought it was cool. It was nice at the end of the day. But sadly, it needed more content, needed more multiplayer, needed more grind, and more of a reason to grind. Now, I'm going to say, like, when you say, like, it needs more of a grind, I mean more of, like, a fun grind where there's a reason to work towards something. And maybe, like, a game in Destiny kind of makes sense. A lot of folks really enjoy the first, like, 2 or 3 weeks of a brand new season because you have, like, new light levels you need to hit. There's a goal for like a raid or dungeon or strike or whatever, and as you do that, like there's a reason to play the game. The goal is to play new content and grind out content to go and enjoy the new content. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's just normal, it's just normal games. But the part of this is where it's rough is that the new content is not fun or it has a paywall behind it. And it kind of makes me kind of sad because this does seem like a game a lot of folks were hyped up for. Now, as well, I've played the Avengers game. It wasn't awful, but it definitely didn't really live up to the hype. So this has been one that a lot of folks I think have been disappointed on for PS5 and Xbox owners, and I'm kind of in the same boat. And a lot of folks too as well with their initial reception kept on saying stuff where like they don't really like this one. Like even some of the comments are like, games are mad expensive. So I appreciate WB helping me to decide to skip this one too as well. Yeah, that's a $70 save too on top of that. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. All hype for the game has disappeared in an instant. This sucks. I've not felt such an instantaneous shift in my opinion in a long time. It's honestly impressive in how fast that lost my attention to as well. And like that, all the hype for this game immediately evaporated too as well. And a lot of folks are even saying like the Marvel's Avengers game, as I mentioned. And that's why this game is not going to end up well. If you have to wait for updates, you're going to stop playing. If you have to have a multiplayer game and no one's playing the game, it means you're not going to have your friends playing. It's hard to rope in your friends too if the game just kind of dies really quick. And when it comes to Avengers, that game was a really quick weekend, if even that. that. Like, a lot of folks are not interested with it, a lot of folks are not vibing it, and at the end of the day, it just didn't turn out to be that good. Like, this is really, really disappointing news too as well. And like, it just makes me sad because people want to have this game. And they have these things like a battle pass, a loadout, multiple currencies, waited 8 years for this, and it's just filled with a mess. I mean, if you give one, like maybe like loadouts, maybe, or like, you know, maybe battle passes, maybe. But if you have to have multiple different currencies just to play the game, is it really even a game at that point? It doesn't really feel like it, you know, at the end of the day, it just doesn't really feel like it. So I don't know. I'm on a very, very just mediocre vibe. I think a lot of folks that were looking for this game are probably going to be disappointed. And like I said, if I have to spend $70 just to go and have the chance to spend more money, this just really isn't what I'm interested in this day and age, especially with how the economy is and all of that. Now, with the game itself, maybe it was ready in production for quite some time, and maybe a lot of folks were like, well, like, we should go ship it either way because we've been working on it for the past 2-3 years, already marketed, etc. But it just is rough. Like, unless it was a free-to-play game, then maybe I could see it. But if you're expecting people to spend money, it's just not a good experience. Plus, once again, the Avengers game wasn't bad, but it just stinks because the game just ended up falling flat after a while. So kind of sad news. But at least on some bright news over here, we did get the numbers over here for the PlayStation, Xbox Series X sales, which are now apparently up on the year-on-year. Worldwide hardware estimates for December 11th through the 17th, sales. So Nintendo Switch was the best-selling console, if you guys want to know all this information, with 900,000 units for the week ending in December 17th. And according to VG estimates too as well, it's now sold around 120 million lifetime units, which is insane. PlayStation 5 sold an estimated 690,000 units, bringing its lifetime sales to around 29.30 million. We also, the Xbox Series X and S sold around 500,000 units, running up to be around 20 million units. So we're kind of just seeing good numbers all floating around. So Sony earlier this month announced the 30 million sales at the end of 2020. So as you guys know, some of these numbers are just slightly dated, just because like it takes time to process and have them go live and all that. So it was a really good holiday season. Like, that alone was another extra 100,000 on top of this for the holiday season, as well for the PlayStation, and Xbox have been doing fantastic. PlayStation 5 sales compared to the same week for the PS4 in 2015 are actually down, though, nearly 300,000 units, where it does seem like the PS4 is kind of more in the groove for the holiday season, while the Xbox Series X and S compared to the last same week for the Xbox One are actually down over 121,000 units. So it almost kind of seems like this big console boom, which has been nice, we're seeing a lot of stuff with it. Well, at the end of the day, so what can you kind of go and do? I mean, it's not bad. Like, I think it's cool, but I don't know, like, it's good. Like, we're still getting sales, they're still trying to hit it, they're still making a lot of consoles, but it really does kind of seem like as of now, like, the huge gusto pump has kind of been flowing down a little bit. Like, I'm not sure, I've never used the word gusto pump before. But basically, for this one, you guys can see a lot of these numbers, like the PS4 and Xbox One sales were massive, so it's really hard to compare those either way. So PlayStation 4 sold an estimated 8,000 units, and the Xbox did around 100. Now, the sales compared to the same week a year ago, though, are actually up, so compared to PS4, down, compared to PS5 a year ago, up around 200,000 units, and the Xbox Series X are up around 40,000 units, and the Switch are actually down as time's gone down. So as we look through all these numbers, it goes to show that there is, like, people are still, like, hundreds of thousands of units are being sold, and it's consistent. Like, at least for PS5, it's been growing as well. Same with the Xbox, it's been growing. But just compared to the really big hype factors of the last generation, they're kind of falling flat a little bit. It's also for the holiday rush too, which, don't forget, is usually where a lot more sales are usually going through. So look at the sales week on week. The PlayStation 5 sales are up by nearly 75,000 units. The Xbox Series X and S sales are up by nearly 86,000 units, which we covered that in maybe a few weeks ago, where it shows that the Xbox on occasion has been selling more and is slowly coming back up. Like, they're actually kind of getting, like, I don't know, a little bit more closer on the grind when it comes to this stuff. I think it's all around really good. Like, we're just seeing more competition, which means more game sales, which at the end of the day should mean better stuff for consumers. So 2022 year to date, the Nintendo Switch has sold an estimated 18 million units. PlayStation 5 has sold nearly 12.3 million units. The Xbox Series X and S has sold nearly 9.5 million units. So it's just all around going good. Like, we're seeing really big sales. Xbox is still in that kind of solid third place vibe. PlayStation has still been doing very well and kind of establishing their, well, I guess, new gen console dominance, and the Switch is somehow just selling everywhere. It's insane. So I also look at some of these other sales too, where the Switch in America around 376,000, PlayStation very close, Xbox as well very close. Europe too as well, it's kind of the same thing where the Switch has a pretty big lead. Everything else is a little bit on the lower side with all these ones too as well. We also had Asia 2 on top of this one, where Switch doing great, PlayStation doing good and kind of staying consistent, but the Xbox did go and fall flat. And also we have Oceania, which has been kind of around the same for all three. So these are all on the good guesstimates on this one. So give me your thoughts and comments on the disappointing PlayStation game news for the Suicide Squad, and as well, let me know your thoughts on all the ongoing sales for all these units. As well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. Check out the how links down below in the comment section and description. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream as well down below. We have the Target links down below. We have the Amazon links down below. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place.